Hello and welcome to a Star Citizen development update. We've got the latest Persistent Universe monthly report looking at what Cloud Imperium have been doing over the last few weeks and what they're focused on now in June 2024. This is a summary of that monthly report post that CIG put up, and it's going to have some added context. There is a lot of Alpha 4.0 feature work, as well as a conscious start to a Star Citizen not so Alpha 1.0 commercial release, although it would be a minimum viable product. But there's also new game modes here like FPS Horde mode in the works. Let's jump in. Let's start with ships and the ship team. The Lot Zero was completed for the Zeus Mark II, so the Lot Zero being the highest detail version of the exterior of the ship. The team are delivering a significant amount of work to dramatically increase the detail in all areas of the ship. For example, lighting across the entire ship has been designed to bring out the volume and highlight details, while animation passes were done across all moving parts, with many receiving secondary motion to communicate a sense of weight. The next stage is a wear pass and completion of the ship's damage states. We are expecting the ES version of the ship to be released with Alpha 4.0 later this year. Material passes were also done to help unify the look and feel of new RSI ships in the future. We know they are working on things like the Polaris, they're going to be working on the Perseus, they're going to be working on the Galaxy. They all share a load of parts that working on one will allow them to make the others a lot quicker and easier. For ship art, there are 3 other ships that have entered the white box stage, although CIG has not defined exactly what they are. VFX completed effects passes on several new vehicles, including for thrusters and damage. Work also began on jump point effects. These have existed as prototypes for a while, but the team focused on getting the effects fully functional, working closely with the VFX programmers and feature team. The UI team has been updating the heads-up displays across multiple ships to improve their functionality and aesthetics, as they also sort of convert more of the MFDs to the building block system and have more variants for the different HUDs of ships with different manufacturers. The core gameplay pillar teams worked on closing out tasks and bug fixing for the Alpha 3.23 cycle. While part of the team focused on the final touches for the cargo feature, the majority continued to work on gameplay features for 4.0 and beyond. They completed a significant amount of work on the multi-tool refactor planned for 4.0. This will provide a more streamlined experience by putting the tool's primary attachment action on the left mouse button and the secondary action on the right. Planning for the remaining multi-tool refactor work, such as an updated UI and battery consumption, were also completed. Multi-tool is obviously going to be incredibly important for Squadron 42, enabling you to have sort of like a utility tool to do a huge range of operations, because the military version is all the multi-tools in one, I believe, but obviously the multi-tool allows you to do a ton in Star Citizen. Though you will typically need a particular attachment, it's super important. For biome accumulation, they completed further Squadron 42 porting work and scoped out how the feature will integrate into the weather system. Charge and drain also continued through pre-production and will now utilize the resource network, support multiplayer, and the ability to charge and drain distortion damage from ship components. So this basically goes, my ship has had this particular component damaged by, distortion damage of some description, and now you can effectively repair distortion damage. Quantum travel is being reviewed to assess any aspects that need to be made server meshing compatible beyond issues observed during tech preview tests. We do know that Cloud Imperium are also working on an updated quantum travel overhaul, and this will have you, while you're accelerating into your quantum jump, keep your ship within the corridor or tunnel that you're sort of forming as you're trying to quantum jump, I should say quantum travel. If you don't, then your quantum travel will effectively fail, and you'll have to wait a little while before you can go back and try and quantum travel. So bear that in mind. Once you get up to sort of speed, once you've gone through the acceleration phase, you can go hands off. Again, it's just literally when you enter quantum travel or when you're like quantum boosting short distances that you'll have to keep within that quantum tunnel. Support for the Arena Commander engineering mode was provided to allow items to be repaired once they reached 0 health. Obviously, this is important as well because they're working on engineering for 4.0 as part of the actual release, not just in Arena Commander. There are locomotion improvements for NPCs performing shop turns, and they've been completed, which will allow characters and creatures to switch direction much more smoothly successfully. Work required to adapt the inventory system to server meshing was scoped out, as it will require a rework of its backend to scale appropriately. The initial version of jump drive failure events were implemented in May. Now, when a ship's jump drive is disabled or damaged, the player will be forced out of the tunnel, which correctly aligns with the exit point in the destination star system. Further improvements to debug tools for jump point gameplay were implemented as well. For engineering gameplay, the team implemented power pools, which will allow the streamlined power management of grouped items like weapons and thrusters. The resource network was enabled by default in the main Star Citizen development branch, which ensures all teams can now work with it and integrate their features or content with it. So yeah, it's part of the dev branch sort of normally now. For transit, the team continued general release support for the 3.23 branch and the upcoming cargo and personnel hangar update. Scope technical planning discussions concluded for the transit refactor, which is now in active development. Obviously, this needs to be made working with server meshing. Estimates and scheduling were completed for the remaining radar and scanning tasks, including deliverable targets. Work was done on the objects of interest mechanic, which will allow designers to set up objects within the persistent universe or Squadron 42 with various parameters and a special scan highlight. A special material was also applied when an object is occluded, so that it shows one material when within line of sight and another when obstructed. The team also added a fading effect for highlighted objects based on distance. Additionally, work was done on including organization information in FPS scan data, while new sound effects were added when attempting to ping while the ability is on cooldown. The team also completed checks between the Persistent Universe and Squadron 42 streams, raising differences so that the team could continue to port features from the Squadron 42 feature set over to the Persistent Universe. The team also activated FPS radar and other experimental radar features across Arena Commander. These systems will be reassessed closer to the release of Alpha 4.0 for a potential preview via Arena Commander. Initial work was completed on the first pass of a new EVA-only map for Arena Commander FPS gameplay modes, with playtests scheduled for the coming weeks. Additionally, they've begun marking up all Arena Commander locations with the room system, so they're compatible with radar. The Good Doctor was completed, with the rest expected to be finished in the coming weeks, with that sort of radar refactor in mind. 2 new strike teams were created to focus on 2 modes, one of which is FPS Horde mode for Arena Commander. For FPS Horde, the game mode and initial setup were completed alongside deliverable scope discussion and task breakdown. The primary goal of this mode is to provide developers with a fast, easy and reliable way to iterate on the development of spawn closets, creature and human AI, and FPS radar. The team will assess the game mode closer to Alpha 4.0 on the feasibility of introducing it as a publicly playable experimental mode. Further progress was made on the mission system refactor, including the implementation of the contract generator, the querying of active and completed missions from the mission service, and the rework of the mission sharing flow. Further support was given to mission design for the updated delivery contract system that interacts with the upcoming freight elevators as well. Gameplay features continued with the closeout of freight elevators, storage access kiosks, instanced and personal hangars, and commodity trading updates. The UI flow is currently being updated to provide a more streamlined experience when managing the warehouse inventory and moving items via the freight elevator. Items like weapons, armor, and furniture can now be brought up too. Stacks of items can now be split into storage access and freight elevator kiosk UI, and filters for item categories were implemented. For the economy, the effort versus reward algorithm was documented, which enabled the economy team to determine the technicalities of implementing the mission system refactor. Once live, mission rewards will be based on time and difficulty to complete. Part of this involved establishing sensible time estimates for hauling missions and finalizing the reward balance for the Copion and Marok creature missions. A design for the refactor of the shop system is underway that will provide more flexibility for trading commodities and item shopping. Progress was also made on the algorithm to determine the base price of commodities. Interactables, liquid carrying cargo containers were worked on, with all sizes moving from white box to final. There's a load of awesome looking new cargo containers here. A destructible generator was also made for search and destroy missions. The devs are currently working up to final with separate pieces that will be detached upon destruction. Lighting spent time finalizing work on instance hangars. They're now working on new content for Alpha 4.0. They also began working on a new cave archetype. The landing zone team fixed bugs for instanced hangars before moving on to mandates for Alpha 4.0, including crafting the remaining stations for Pyro. The organics team continued iterating on new biomes. Mission design continued working on cargo missions, specifically polishing the abandon flow. This is used when a player decides they no longer want to play the mission. For example, if they've picked up a load, the contract will give them an allotted time to deliver it to a closer location and take less of a reputation hit. If the player doesn't deliver the cargo in an allotted time, it will be marked as stolen. Planning was also done for the mission system refactor, which is required for server meshing. This will also bring the processes and pipelines used by the team up to date to ensure that it is aligned with the current standards. Future content plans are underway, with some actively being built. Mission design also aligned with tech design on their deliverables to see if more of their upcoming gameplay can be utilized. Pyro-based repair missions are actively being designed. These involved repairing components containing radiation and power management via the charge and drain system. Now, there's some interesting stuff going on with the narrative team. As part of the scoping of responsibilities for Star Citizen 1.0, they looked into taking a larger role in the oversight and maintenance of the social AI in the universe. This includes reviewing and adjusting existing civilian behaviors so the personalities of various locations and landing zones come through. The team is also prototyping new behavior types that will appear throughout some upcoming locations, as well as previously established ones. This led to initiatives to develop vertical slices of social spaces to test out a variety of larger scale mechanics, such as day-night schedules, updates to vendor and bartender behaviors, and some mission providers in a contained space to make sure they're providing the desired content before expanding. As part of 1.0 development, further work was done on the location stories for the major landing zones, with team members working with design to tailor the story to the gameplay. These missions will provide exciting opportunities for players to embark on adventures that embellish local storylines. They also continue to support upcoming patches by providing narrative content for some of the upcoming mission modules, providing additional in-fiction names and descriptions to items, and working with core gameplay teams on future mechanics. The online services team focused on wrapping up the social services back-end refactor, which will improve the performance and scalability of social features, including chat, friends, and groups. It will also allow the service to handle more concurrent users and requests and help the team to add new features more easily in the future. The team also spent a significant amount of time helping to stabilize Alpha 3.23 cycle by triaging issues and bug fixing, including 12 critical and 24 major bugs. They also began working on potential 4.0 release features, such as the mission system refactor, the marker system refactor, and the player trade feature in support of server meshing. Player trade feature, is that going to be the ability to trade with other players? Am I going to be able to go, you can have this ship and I want some money, or something like that? That would be absolutely fantastic. AI features work towards consistent behaviors across different combat scenarios, ensuring that AI characters react in believable ways, no matter what situation they're in. The team began by improving and unifying perception reactions, improving cover use in different scenarios, and making a holistic evaluation of all the combat elements to ensure they work as intended. This is particularly important with the recent improvements to the hostility system. For example, if an AI comes across two others fighting and they're friendly with both, doing nothing is not a valid response. As the first pass implementation for Alpha 3.23, the AI will run and cower when this situation arises, though this isn't ideal and will be improved upon for a upcoming release. AI tech made improvements to pathfinding. Improvements were also made to the functionality of NPCs pushing trolleys and using elevators alongside updated behaviors for elevator use, smoother animation animations when NPCs move away from trolleys, and improved functionality for NPCs parking trolleys was also implemented. AI tech also began work to allow NPCs to understand when cover is being destroyed or parts of a usable are being destroyed. This will prevent NPCs from attempting to find or use unsuitable cover. For ship AI, the team continued making improvements and fixing bugs related to following splines and backstrafing. The character art team completed the high poly phase for 2 specialist armors and continued updating the utility armor. A new heavy specialist armor began development too. The hair team began working on new hairstyles for future releases and for the customizer. Progress was also made on new creatures. Gameplay animation focused on numerous creatures, including the unreleased quasi-grazer, the space cow. And that is pretty much it for your update today. I am very, very, very excited for Alpha 4.0 features, especially potential for that FPS sort of horde mode as well. I mean, obviously there's tons of stuff coming with 4.0. I'm super excited about server meshing, new star system with pyro, engineering. It's just something else to look forward to. I wanted a good, fun sort of FPS swarm mode to see what AI should be like in Star Citizen when stuff is operating properly. It's great to hear about all of those updates and the work towards 4.0, and it's really exciting to hear them talk genuinely about Star Citizen 1.0 and a commercial release, and obviously work going into that even now. But I'm really interested to know what you thought of that monthly report. Are you excited by anything you heard there? Are you disappointed about not hearing anything in particular? Were you expecting to hear something else? Something else you might want to do is look in the sort of links down below in the description or the comments for things like nordvpn.com/BoredGamer, the best darn NordVPN that I ever did advertise on my channel. Click on that if you want a discount for a VPN that gives you great security, privacy, and accessibilities to the interwebs. I use it. I really like NordVPN, and it's helped support the channel, you buying it through those links. Also, we've got some eye tracking stuff down below as well. You want your Tobii eye tracker, natively supported high precision head and eye tracking in Star Citizen. Oh, it's great. It's expensive, but it's really, really cool. That said, you have to actually want eye tracking in game. If you're not going to use it, then it's probably not for you. Every month we have a ship giveaway, and for June we are giving away a Freelancer Miss, which is a fantastic little multi-crew missile boat. We're also bundling this with a Pulse, the little tiny bike with the big laser on it. You'll get lifetime insurance on both of those and a Star Citizen game package. So all you need to play Star Citizen, all you need to do to be in for a chance of winning that is comment on any of my videos made during June. Good luck to you. Also, if you want to further support the channel, please consider clicking the join button under my videos. It really does help. There's also Patreon on loads of affiliate links and stuff like that down below in the video description and in the comments, so check those out, and that helps the channel out too. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great June. Thank you for watching to the end, and don't forget to click all the things down below, or at least the things you want to click on.